Hi everyone, thanks so much for watching this 5 Brown Notes video. Just wanted to help you a little bit by giving you a bit of context to the song, where it's come from, how it was written. We just had a great evening, about 15 people over at our house to record this song, and one of the key things that we were talking about as a team and as a group of worshippers is what it means to be black and blue in the knowledge of God still being with us. And if we're all honest, we could tell our own, share our own stories, and that's what we did last night. We told our own stories of when we've really come to places in life of feeling really black and blue, beaten up by situations in life, frustrated by things in life, really bothered deeply by anxiety or stress or fear or worry, all these negative things that cause us as Christians to feel like that. But we fundamentally believe as Christians that we're indwelt by the very living presence of the Spirit of God. And so even in these moments of feeling black and blue, we still have baseline bedrock of being able to say, but I know that God was with me in that, or that even I know that God is with me now in this. And so we wanted the song to give words to what it means for us, maybe to remember or to recall, or to actually from a current actual situation to be able to say, I feel black and blue, God, but I know that you're with us. And that's where the chorus then goes. In the ancient Greek culture, there's this funny little word called Oikos, O-I-K-O-S, and it's a word that was used to sum up the little space in the ancient Greek household, this little central hub of activity where everything kicked off in the household, in the Greek home, whether it was eating or kicking back and lounging around or laughing or crying, dealing with animals or whatever it was a central hub of living in the Greek household. And I love the word because it gets us to start thinking about how much the central place in our own home should be as Christians and believers, even when we feel black and blue, or the opposite of that, which is that everything's great, but that the central place in our home is a place of storytelling and of prayer and of worship. There's this lovely little bit in Ephesians 2 that says, Ephesians 2:19 says, consequently you are no longer foreigners and strangers, but fellow citizens with God's people. And check this out, and also members of God's household. And in him you two are being built together to become a dwelling in which God lives by his Spirit. And if you ever read that and thought, whoa, I wonder what God's household is like. What's God's home like? We're his children, he's our Abba. And one day we're going to be in our John 14 homes with him. But there's a little taste of that now as we get together in our own homes and make the absolute headquarters of our prayer and worship lives in our own homes, where we can be vulnerable and safe with that. So God is with us. God's with us, literally with us, even when we feel black and blue. Bless you.
6 years ago, my husband, who was a fantastic violinist, he had a marathon brain hemorrhage, which needed an almost instant operation to save his life. So that was a shock in itself, but what I wanted to say was the extraordinary thing that through the time until he died 2 years ago, our love for each other grew greater. He was paralysed on one side, couldn't speak, all this sort of stuff, but he did manage to be able to walk again, play his violin again a little bit. But the main thing is he came to know Jesus in that time, and that was so precious. Although he couldn't speak much because he had aphasia, so we had an extraordinarily good time, a very hard time. But with God, it makes an incredible difference to be able to go through what feels like a valley or a really rough time. But with him and his grace, it has just been an extraordinary journey. And God was even gracious enough. The night after he died peacefully in his sleep. I had a dream, and I saw my husband walking with Jesus and laughing with joy. So God has been incredibly good. People have said, it's terribly hard, isn't it? And I said, well, yes. But good things, God works together for the good of those who are in Christ Jesus.
Hi, I'm Naomi, and about 2.5 years ago, I found out that I had a brain tumor. And we went in for consultation, and that day they told us we have to admit you and operate tomorrow. and it was definitely a shock and a scare for me and my family. I had been sick for several months beforehand, and it was definitely a moment I had to reach out to God and seek Him for help. And He definitely carried me and helped me through the whole ordeal. I was in hospital for about 5 weeks, and a lot of attacks happened, but God definitely held me, and He definitely protected me, and everything worked out for my good, which is what it says in the scriptures. So He definitely held me through the time.
Hi, I'm Andrew, and I'm quite a sociable guy. I really like fellowship. Have a lot of friends and family here in England, so when I was offered a really good job in America, I really had to think about whether I was going to take it up or not. It was a good job and I felt like it was the right thing to do, so I decided to go for it. Up sticks, moved off to over to Alabama, and started my job. And you know, the day I arrived, I found out that the head of the department I was supposed to be working in had been fired the previous day, and that was now my job. So I was fresh out of university. I was meant to be head of engineering for this motorcycle company in Alabama, and that was really quite a difficult thing. A lot of stress, huge workload, pressure to perform. You know, deadlines that I really couldn't keep up with, and it started to affect me really badly. Obviously, I had no friends there. I was kind of just finding my feet. And on top of all of this, because I couldn't switch on and I was just getting possibly an hour of sleep a night, I was really struggling. Ended up being battered, so black and blue. And in a fit of desperation, I just cried out to God, and just cried out and asked Him for help. And I just instantly felt the presence of God where I was. He really comforted me. He reminded me that He never leaves me. He's never going to forsake me or abandon me. That He's always my help, and that it's my job to not take on these things by myself, but just to throw everything out at His feet, knowing that He can take care of it. Immediately I felt so at peace compared to feeling really struggling before. Amazingly, I fell into a deep sleep that was for several hours, almost a day, and when I went back to work, it was with a fresh mind. It was understanding that I had success ahead of me, and that I had God on my side who was going to help me. And I ended up getting the bike into production, and it sold well. The company's still going now, 4 or 5 years down the line. So just knowing that God is always with me and always is there for my help.
I am a musician, and I get myself into a lot of financial trouble, as well as just the complexities of life, paperwork and all that sort of stuff. And the way that I know that God is always with me is that He always pulls me out of things that I would otherwise not be able to sort out myself. I've started to trust Him because every time He comes through for me. So it's all now on trust, and I get myself worried, I get myself stressed, and more often than not now, I just remember that Jesus has got this. He's got it, and even when I stress out, He sorts it out for me, pulls me out. He just always sorts me out. So now I'm just starting to trust Him.
Well, in the song, The Black and Blue really resonates with us because the last 5 years or so, we felt we've really been going through a roller coaster ride. Having lost our home in 23 years and lost my business in 18 years, but the Lord's been in it. That's our testimony every step of the way. That refrain at the end of the song, sing what God has done, sing what God has done. And it's like that refrain. It's like the waves lapping on the sea, because what we don't know is so often it's God in the background doing stuff that we're totally unaware of. But yet, as I say, our testimony is He's there each step of the way.
yeah, when I felt black and blue, and I have felt black and blue, it's just like this, the spirit comes and it's like being wrapped in heavenly bubble wrap, and it protects you because you're feeling really fragile, and yet you're very aware that there's still a battle really raging all around you, and yet you're safe and you're protected. That is how it is when you're in the battle and you're black and blue.